Welcome to this next online lecture. In this lecture, we're going to be covering an overview of Arabic alphabet, so of the entire Arabic alphabet. Notice that this is still Unit 2. This is a continuation of Lesson 1, so the very first podcast I made to introduce this unit to you. And in the very first lecture I made for this unit, I only briefly went through the Arabic alphabet, so this lecture should give you a solid understanding of all the letters in the alphabet, their sounds, and some of the phonics involved as well as some previous concepts I mentioned. I'll highlight that as well. So some things to keep in mind before we get onto the alphabet is, number one, similar letters. We want to kind of look for groups of letters that share a common stem structure, right? So what I mean by that, going back to the definition of common stem structures or parent structures, is that they are based on a group of letters that share a common structure, or the most original form of a letter, right? So looking at these three letters here, notice that this letter here is in every other letter over here, or all these letters share this common structure here, right? So therefore this is the common stem structure or the parent structure. Right? So the next idea is talking about pairs. Well, pairs of Arabic letters which are opposite letters to each other and that they have a different sound. So in fact, I should mention pairs. Okay, I'll mention that concept there. You have pairs. Bear with my writing here. Again, I'm writing on my trackpad, so it's not the best. A good example of opposite letters are this letter and this letter here. This is letter dal and this is letter dal. So dal has a dot here. They both share a common structure, right? This little, I guess, arrow-like structure here. But the dal has a little dot over here, right? And that makes it different from this letter here. So this makes a different sound. It makes a the sound, but this letter here makes a the sound, right? Or a the, using your tongue and teeth. Make sense? So the next idea is letters with English paired letter sounds. And what I mean by that is, for example, the SH sound, you know, that makes the sh sound. And then you have the TH sound, which makes the th sound, as in tooth. And then you have nasal, throat, and tongue and teeth sounds. I'm not sure why the third one is not written, but I'm going to write it here anyways. So you have tongue, plus teeth sounds, okay? Tongue plus teeth sounds, and you'll see a lot of that when we get to sounding out each letter. So we're going to get onto the alphabet now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first cross off a letter that we're not going to be covering in this lecture, and that is this letter here. This is actually a letter lam. This is a variation of this letter here. But we're not going to focus on variations of letters because that's in an upcoming online lecture as well. So I'm going to start with this letter here that I'm going to circle here. This is letter Aleph. Okay, it's called Aleph, and we'll go through this in class. This letter actually makes an A or a U. You could say a U sound, as in saying So for your sake, I'm going to say this makes a UH sound, as in saying okay. The next letter here is a letter Ba, and the letter Ba makes a B sound. Okay, that is letter Ba over here. Letter Ta, so notice how I'm not saying ta, I'm saying ta. I'm touching my tongue with my teeth. That makes a ta sound, okay? So I'm going to put a star there to help you remember that. Then the next letter is a letter Tha, okay? So letter Tha makes the regular English TH sound, alright? Give me 1 second. Let's put the charger on my computer. There we go. The next letter here is letter Jim, so that can make a J or a G sound. In your sake, I'll probably just put a J, because we know the J makes a jet sound. Alright, this next letter here is letter Ha. So notice how I didn't say ha, as in ha ha ha. I said ha. A really strong, kind of loud H breathing sound there, right? So I'm going to put a star there to help you remember it's another strong sound there, okay? Then you have the letter Kha, right? So letter Kha, and you're pretty good at this. This is a paired letter sound. Again, applying concepts from the previous slide. It makes a Kh sound from the throat. And then these next two letters, These are examples of, again, these 5 letters here, these are examples from the previous slide. This next letter here I'm circling is letter dal, so that makes a D sound, again, tongue and teeth. And then letter dal, its opposite letter, is making a DH sound, right? So DH sound as if you're saying dhikr, okay? This next letter here is letter ra, okay? So this letter makes an R sound. Nothing too tricky, that's pretty straightforward. Then this letter I'm circling now here, well, here is letter za or zain. You could just say zain, or you could just say zain. So it makes a Z sound, okay? Letter sin is this next letter I'm circling here, and it makes an S sound, a simple S sound, okay? This next letter is called shin, and by the name of it, you can hear the sh sound, so it makes an SH sound, okay? This next letter is sod. So this is a bit, also makes an S sound, but it has a bit of a strong kind of accent to it, okay? So using your throat, right? Sod. And then its opposite letter, which is dod, right? So notice how both of them almost have the same sound. They have the O sound in both of them. Sod, dod, all right? The dod is, again, is a bit of a combination of throat sound and tongue and teeth sound. So I'm saying dod, I'm making the D sound, and I'm using my throat, so dod. I'm going to put a star in that to help you remember. Whoops. Oh no, kind of messed it up there. Let me just get back to this letter here. Dod. So that is going to be making the D sound, alright? The D sound using tongue and teeth and your throat. Don't worry about these other letters that aren't circled because we'll get back to them later, alright? So, but we stopped off at this letter. So now we're going to go on to letter to. Okay, this is letter to. My computer is just acting up, so please bear with me. And the to actually makes a strong T sound, okay? Again, you're using your tongue to touch your teeth, as well as the throat sound. The next letter here is letter tho, okay, or tho. And this makes a TH sound. Strong TH sound. So this makes the sound, as in the English word the, right? I'll just put that there to help you remember, the. And this is almost similar to letter dal over here, but not quite. So just pronounce this letter as the, okay? This next letter is a really tricky one. It is in fact called the Ayn, as A-Y-N. Okay, I'll write that down for you. A-Y-N. Ayn. And this makes a really tricky, hard to say kind of sound. I'll write it over here to make it easier, but we'll go through this in class. And it involves an apostrophe, which would cause an interruption to the vowel here. So the vowel is A for this letter, and this letter makes an ah sound. Okay, ah. Notice how I have hesitated before saying the A sound. And so the letter opposite to the letter Ayn is Ghain, right? Because it has the dot over here. And so the letter Ghain makes the GH sound, okay? It makes a R sound, almost as if you're gurgling water, okay? This next letter is letter Fa, and it's an easy sound and makes an F sound. And then its next letter, which is not an opposite letter, it looks like it, but it's not. It's different than the letter Fa. It's a letter Qaf. Okay, we covered this letter before. It makes a strong K sound by a Q. Letter Kaf is the next letter, and it makes a K sound. Okay, so like a weak K sound. And this next letter I'm circling down here is letter Lam, and it makes a letter L sound. Okay, pretty easy stuff. This is also a letter Meme. This is the next letter we're getting to. It's a nice kind of curved. I like to look at it as a bit of a sharp kind of structure. So it makes an M, letter M sound as I'm writing here. The next letter is letter Noon, and as in the English word noon, like 12 noon, and that makes a letter N sound. This next letter is letter Ha. So it is also a variation of letter Ha. So you don't have to focus on this too much, But since it is part of the alphabet, I'll just briefly go through this, but I won't expect you to know about it until I refer back to this later in another lecture where I'll actually get you to practice this letter. So in general, this letter just makes an H sound. It's also an H sound from the throat. This is letter wow, okay, as an English word, wow. So you're making a W sound in this letter. And again, just ignore this letter here. This is the symbol Hamza. So it's not really a letter. It's mainly, I'd like to think of it as a symbol. So it is actually making an ah sound, right? So it's almost like alif, where it's making an ah sound. And then you have the letter ya. Okay, so the letter ya is making the letter Y sound. Make sense? Okay, so that is the alphabet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the previous slide, and that's the only way to clear off all the writing. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to circle the common stem structure, the groups of letters that share a common stem structure. Okay, just to show you and apply some of the concepts we've learned. So the first group here I see is letter ba, ta, and tha. Okay, they share a common stem structure, and I'm going to write that down over here below in green. That is this structure that they share. That's the parent structure there. Then you have letter ha, letter ha, and letter jim. This is the second group, and they share this structure, this common stem structure, right? Then you see dal and letter dal. Okay, so but again, both of them share this structure here. And I'll go through one more example, and then I would encourage you to pause the video and look for other letters that share a common stem structure. Okay, so you have letter ain and ghain. Okay, this is ghain, this is ain. Okay, these are both different letters. They share this common stem structure or parent structure. Okay, another thing to keep in mind. Letter fa and letter qaf, they are not common stem structures of each other, okay? They are not. The reason why is because this little loop here, you can see, is a bit elevated, whereas the loop over here is depressed. It's at the bottom over here, so they're not the same structure, okay? These other letters here that I'm kind of running my pen along, they are not they don't share a common stem structure, okay? So they're just kind of like additional kind of letters that you need to know. Alright, so now I'm going to go erase everything, and now I'm going to use a different color again, and this time in this color I'm going to indicate opposite letters. Okay, so again, these are pairs of letters that kind of look a bit the same, but they have different sounds to them. So I'm circling the groups of letters, the pairs that are opposites. Letter dal and dal, letter ra and zain or za, letter sin and sheen. So this is letter seen, this is letter sheen. And then I have sold and dod, alright? I'm going to circle one more, and then I want you to circle the last group of opposite letters, okay? And then this is ain and ghain. So again, they are kind of like opposite letters. So they look the same, they almost look the same, but one of them has an addition, okay? So if you pause the video right now, you'll notice that the last group or opposite pair is to and do, right? Okay, so this is the conclusion of this online lecture, and in our next class we're going to be clarifying the alphabet more. So do a bit of review on this lecture, and then we will proceed from there. But thank you for your attention and have a good weekend.